Peps and Jdog, ladies and gentlemen. We're here live because it's the round 18 review from a massive week of AFL. And I tell you what, Jdog, I'm going to be looking in the mirror one day going, you know what the definition of an idiot is? The person who just does the same thing week after week, thinking he's going to get a different result and then continues to do the same thing. I went last week and predicted that the top 8 locked in, no more changes, and you only have to have 9 games to throw that one completely into the bin. I've got no idea, and yet I still run a very popular YouTube and podcast show with the great man yourself. Just goes to show you don't really have to do anything and know anything about football to have a connection.
Certainly is the case. Good evening, Peps. Good evening, listeners. What a crazy season. Two games separate. Second place in the ladder down to 12th.
It's like walking into a nightclub, and like the differences between the hotties and the noddies is just like there's none. It's just like there's just glamours everywhere, and it's just like everywhere you look, it's glamours. You know what it's like. There's just glamours everywhere, and I love the glamours. It's just amazing. I'm just loving what footy's turning on at the moment. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to us before, make sure you do subscribe. If you're listening to us on the podcast, thank you very much. And if you're on YouTube or Facebook and you haven't subscribed, make sure ring a bell, and subscribe, because we drop content at least twice a week, 3 times if you're lucky, to the beautiful viewers and listeners every single week. Hey, mate, I've got a lot to get through tonight. I know you all got plenty to talk about as well, too. So let's just get straight into what we normally would roll out first thing on the Facebook channel, and it's to have a chat about the AFL ladder, because I don't know about you, Jdog, but I think I might just give up in trying to determine who is going to be top 8, who's not going to be top 8. I think I'm just going to just let it roll. I'm just going to let it roll, because I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting everybody else's time trying to even predict what it's going to look like.
Well, Peps, you are a bit of a headline hound, and you do like to make the calls, but I think just for the sake of our listeners this week, all 4 of them out there, just
it's good to see Lee Ali, the big dog, on here. Yep.
Just maybe this week you could call the Jets and just maybe not call the 8 locked. Just something different.
I won't. So I will only call the 8 locked after the last game in round 24. That's when it's locked. I'm putting the Agates on the line here, but have a look at this. Sydney Swans still on top. Great win over North Melbourne. Carlton, jeez, didn't they shit the bed on the weekend? Geelong Cats both on 44. Geelong, the old man, what do we say? The old rare time at home, as I thought the beds would be full, but they're not. They've got some young bucks running through there at the moment, which is magnificent. Who would have thought this would happen as well too? The Brisbane Lions in the top 4. They were sitting 13th about 6 to 7 weeks ago. That's how their rapid rise is. I'd love to get your opinion on them as well too. Jdog, they're same with Fremantle and Essendon don't, not Essendon, Essendon, because they turn up against the Ds, and that's basically all they did. They got smashed. You got GWS and you got the Ds on 40 points, equal with Port Adelaide on 40 points, but you're outside just on percentage. Then you get the Western Bulldogs, great win over Carlton. Gold Coast, was it a home game, Jdog?
Absolutely.
They win. Collingwood, Hawthorn, all on 36. That's where the final 8 pretenders and contenders are going to be. Then you got the Adelaide Crows, shit Kilda, yes they were, West Coast, Northern Melbourne, and Richmond, who, you know what, they gave GWS a pretty good crack. And I'll also say West Coast, they had a nice little crack as well too. So you sack a coach and anything can happen.
Well, strike me down, Peps. Hawthorn, still potentially, mathematically. It's just an odd season. Like, Brisbane couldn't have done what they've done without the rest of the AFL half falling over themselves to get to where they are, because you declared it after 5 weeks that they were done. Not going to see any of the top 8. I think half, if not most, of the AFL journals have said the same thing, and yet we find ourselves with about 4 or 5 games to go for the rest of the season, and they're sitting in the top 4.
You know what it is? Jdog, when we look at this ladder, it simply comes down to you've got one runaway team, and that's it. Everybody else has been so consistently inconsistent through the whole season. It's almost like Sydney have said, we're going to run away. And if anybody wants to catch us at the back end of the season. And nobody wants to lock in a top 4. Nobody wants to lock in a top 8.
Mm-hmm.
And to think about it, that there is, like you said, 6 points between 3rd and 13th with 7 rounds to go.
Yeah.
6 rounds to go, sorry. So 19, 20, 22, 24. 6 rounds to go. Epic. Absolutely epic. Hey, Buzz is here. Don't know why. St Kilda lost, so we only see Buzz when he's... But we've said a lot apparently over the last couple of weeks too, so we're going to clarify a few things too. But don't hesitate. Everybody who's watching live, who's on the chat, drop questions in. We're happy to answer them as well. We know we do this before we wrap up the ladder. What do you reckon, Jdog? Are we going to mention who's going to come in, who's going to come out this week, or are we just going to hold Braveheart style?
I think we have to hold. How long ago? It honestly feels like we were speaking about the Geelong Cats tumble, like it was 5, 6, 7 weeks. Like it just felt like they were done. They're finding themselves in 3rd position. It's just a crazy season. It's just crazy.
It's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I know this season's crazy. Yeah, it is. It has been an absolute stalker. Rightio, Jdog. Hey, before we get into a couple of contentious topics, let me give you a quick roundup of the games. Got a chance to pretty much see all of them. Collingwood, Geelong had this one down pat. Like there was no chance Collingwood were ever going to win this one. Too many injuries. I don't think, to be honest, the desire's there at the moment, Jdog. I don't think it's what they were last year. Teams are also starting to work out Nick Dacos as well. They're just not the same. And they're not scary. They're not scary anymore. Okay. What I will say, though, is Geelong, like a number of clubs, and I'll go through them, out of necessity have had to play kids. And those kids have just developed before our eyes. And, you know, most of the time it can take half, 3/4 of a season. We're talking weeks that these kids, whether they're coming in for their first game or it's their 5th game or it's their 10th game, they're just dominating. And names that we've heard a little bit about as well, you know, Bowles, Holmes, have just taken it to a completely different level. And it's really nice to see. Then you get someone like Dempsey in for his first season. They just got so much, and then you get the old guys just doing what they need to do, which is it's really good to see clubs not having to rely on the big names. And unfortunately for Collingwood, they have to rely on too many big names because their bottom 6 players are they're just not cutting the mustard at the moment. I got to watch the end of this game. How good was this? Hawks beating Fremantle by 13 points. James Sicily, he was a liability. Like, you almost have to at one stage think, are we going to actually take this guy off the ground because he's doing nothing and costing us everything? They throw him down forward. He had 3 kicks and had 3 goals.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm interested. We're going to go with the Peps.
They're just so awesome to watch.
Okay, I thought you were going to be a backhander there. I was waiting for the backhander.
No, there's no backhander. The backhander is I'll say to Fremantle, I picked Hawthorn for the simple fact that it's the longest road trip in footy to go from Freo to Hobart and play in the cold. Like, they don't get anything under 10 degrees. I think it was like 10 degrees at most down there. They got frostbite. And the Hawks love playing down there. And I don't know if you can be really a wizard if you've only kicked, I think, less than 10 goals in your AFL career. But the one that the so-called wizard kicked to win, as they would say, ice the game, was mint. So lovely to see that. Not really much to say about North Melbourne and Sydney. Sydney did what they had to do. Puts a bit of a stinger in North because their last 6 weeks have been really good, and then just sort of have to go against a Sydney. We're like, okay, we've had 2 bad ones, and to smash them by 79, it's pretty much expected, I'd say. Mm-hmm. The game, though, that was the Western Bulldogs versus Carlton. Are you starting to see cracks in Carlton, Jdog? Are you worried if you're Carlton? Because I would love to hear your opinion on this, because the Dogs were just good. From what I was watching, Bailey Dale, that was probably one of the best games I think I've ever seen him play. He was everywhere. He was amazing, absolutely amazing.
I don't know if I'm worried about Carlton. Maybe a little. They were like when they were hot in the middle part of the season. Are we coming to? I don't know. I think Kerno with a really dirty night in front of the sticks. Who knows what's come back after the injury, but just dirty kicking 3-6.
Who would you be more scared of? The Dogs or Carlton?
Carlton.
Still?
Yeah, Dogs are just as inconsistent as my team or your team.
Yep. Understandable, but they were really good. And the fact that they got the win and the Bont didn't really do much on the weekend, that's something to say. Riley West kicking a 4 as well too. Jamara kicking 4 as well too. Don't get carried away about him.
Well, do you want to go there? No,
can I go with that?
You did put him on a bit of a blast last week.
Yeah, well, I gave him a blast because he needed to, because he hasn't done anything for a while. And yeah, I will give him a blast very, very shortly. So stay tuned because I've got something to say about him. Adelaide Crows versus St Kilda. Look, the only good thing coming out of this game was Riley Philthorpe, who just looks like he's been in the Captain America tube. He's come out with his massively bushy beard. He's built like a brick shithouse. Slots too. He was Hulk. He was Rogue, Captain America. He was everything. And they win, and then he has to go and do sprints after the game.
It's funny you say that because I literally thought the same thing when I saw him. I'm like, who is that?
I had no idea. And I'm like, oh my God, someone's just been reading. He's been living with the Liver King for about the last 6 months. But apparently he couldn't do anything except because of his knee. All he could do was just go to the gym, and he put on about 8 to 10 kilo.
Yeah.
And you could see it too. So
yeah,
that was
huge.
awesome. Hey, Gold Coast against your mob. I'll let you speak about this, but Gold Coast are completely, they're almost unbackable up there.
Yeah, well, I was not, as I said, I'm not a Gold Coast fan, but Port are just this Port are in the same league as the West Coast, as the Bulldogs, as you guys, as every other team vying for that bottom 4 spots in the 8. Just super inconsistent. Last week we looked good against the Doggies. This week we looked like tripe. The media are saying essentially what they're saying exactly what it is, but they're afraid to say the exact words of what it is, Peps. And this is the word. Port are downhill skiers. Like it's just essentially what this club is. It is a team that doesn't handle the heat when it's applied, but very much when they're on top of their opposition, they look like millionaires. And they just don't want, and the AFL, the media don't want to say those words that they are downhill skiers.
Well, you know what? How about we say it? We'll put it online, and everybody who's a Port Adelaide, I'll even get a picture of a skier with maybe Jason Horne-Francis's face on it, because they are downhill skiers, Jamie. They're bullies. They pick on the little guys, but when they have to come up against the big bikes, they fall away. Look at little Jason Horne-Francis. I went away from North Melbourne because I didn't like it, because I wanted to be closer to home. And then the boys were picking on me, and so I then throw them to the ground, and I give away goals and free kicks. Like, seriously, he's a nuffy.
Butters is the same.
Butters is the same. And don't worry about cheap shots, Rosie. Like, he throws cheap shots behind the pack. Butters, he throws the elbows when he can. He throws them into the back of the ribs and the kidneys, etc. when he's running past, but he cops and has a bit of a sook. Like, you've got to be able to give it and take it at the same time. And you know what? Port Adelaide love to give it and take it. They've been pitching and catching for many, many years, and they are downhill skiers, Jamie. And I want you to get angry. I want you to get angry and just rip into them.
I just can't. Peps, I'm so emphatic towards my own club with it all that I want change. But we'll have to just wait it out. We are just as a club, I think that we are close to done with the current structures.
Are you going to be the next West Coast? Are you going to hold on to your coach 18 months longer than you should?
It depends what your definition is. Like West Coast, it's hard because West Coast had won 2018. They won the thing. We've never won the thing.
I know, but you're not going to win the thing. So
We're unlikely.
you're unlikely to win it. If
Agreed.
you're unlikely to win it, why would you keep going with him? And others in those positions as well too, at a board level, at a coaching support level. Like there's so many layers to it. It is like an AFL Sara Lee cheesecake, but something has to give.
A Viennetta.
Oh, don't start on the Viennettas. Viennettas are good.
It's got layer on layer on layer on layer. Peps, they're all very valid questions and a lot of Port Adelaide supporters. You got the diehards. I get it. You got the people who are glued on. They'll never see a bad thing. But a lot of they're over it. They're over it, Peps.
You know what, Jamie? I think that a supporter who sits there and goes, yes, it's all good, it's all great, etc., they're false in my eyes. They're not real because you have to see it for what it is. You have to really enjoy the good times and really, when things are going bad, really say how it feels. Because in any other facet of life, if that happens, you get a pat on the back when you're doing well and you get a kick in the ass when you don't. So why is it any different with a football team?
Great points, Peps.
Great points. Well, I reckon I'd love to hear what the Port Adelaide supporters think about that. Where is your team going? Like, was it Asava? He wasn't even there? Like, when you're still relying on Dixon? Yeah. Who's improved this year? Can I ask that question? Who has improved?
I would honestly, I'd say probably gone backwards. I'd say they've got backwards players.
Yep.
Backwards.
Mate, there's a lot coming in on the chat. Players are over the hill. Horn Francis has lost the plot. I won't have a bad word to say about Horn Francis because he plays socks up, black boots. 2 big ticks in my books. Outside of that, reality checks, mate. They might need to get the Mark Neal reality checks out and start writing a few.
Well, I do wonder what's going to happen at the end of the year. I mean, obviously, you got Chubby Boak, who's been an absolute warrior for the club. Probably at the end of it.
Has he been a servant of the club?
You're one of your favourites. Been a servant.
Started with the servant.
Dixon has probably never been a forward in a failure. He's been probably a failure in a word. Never got his body right. Not a great kick. And never really taken season after season, 50 plus goals. Never really happened. And then Radaglia just looked like a bust. Brendan Zerk-Thatcher looks like a bust at the moment for us. Just can't keep his feet. And the midfield, we love Horn Francis. We absolutely love him. We love Zach Butters. We love Rosie. But it is just they just get walked over, and they don't seem to stop the blood from flowing there.
Yep.
We've got a forward line that is absolutely diabolical, and has not been fixed under Ken Hinkley for 12 years now. Like, that's just, how can you have a forward line working when you've got tall young kids going there going, you don't look like a good forward line. They're tall, young, fearless, but we just have the most meekest of forwards that you've ever seen.
I would almost go as far as your recruiting has been poo as well.
Yeah, I just think it's just purely on development. I have no doubt if you turned a Marshall, who is 200 plus centimeter, has been on our list for a long time, but is seriously built. He's built like me.
He needs to get on a Thilthorpe.
He needs to get on the Thilthorpe. If he was in Melbourne or a Collingwood or another club, he would be huge. He would be big. But he's not. He's just low effort.
Yeah.
There's lots of problems. There's lots of problems with Port Adelaide, and I just do hope that whoever we get next, the next coach, whether it's a Carr, whether it's a whoever we get in, just makes work unenjoyable for a little bit for them. Because at the moment, you've got a lot of players who are very comfortable, who are enjoying their jobs, but not necessarily because they're enjoying winning. They just like being in a nice environment.
That's footballers for you, mate. That's
footballers.
Hey, I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. Leave a comment. Subscribe, ring the bell. Jdog on fire. I love it. Hey, tell you who else was on fire? The D's. I went to this game, saw the D's versus Essendon. I think for the first time, I did a video many moons ago where Melbourne played Geelong in the wet, and I ended up ending the shower with a football saying you might want to get to kick the ball long and maybe go to Auskick and learn how to play under 10 footy. Melbourne played under 10 footy on the weekend, got the ball, got the meterage, held it in, kicked goals. They should have won by 7. They put the queue in the rack. The Bombers came back a little bit. Melbourne, a little bit like Geelong, a little bit like Brisbane, which I'll get to very shortly. And they've had players go down with injury, players get retired. They've had to bring in kids, and these kids are developing faster than I would have thought, whatever. Like Trent Rivers in the midfield has been amazing. Moniz Wakefield at back, Caleb Windsor on the wing, Tholstrop. It's just all these little pieces just coming in to complement the older heads around as well too. Like even a Jake Malcolm coming in just structures up that forward line. It was just awesome. So I'm buoyant, but we play Freo this week. So we'll see what happens with that too. Am I confident? Not really. But if I see what they've done over the last probably month of footy, last 3 weeks especially, or anything can happen. Richmond, I mentioned about the Giants. Giants were good. My love child, he kicked 4. The other love child, Jesse Hogan, he kicked 4. Absolutely loved it. So just loved what they did. And I know West Coast, new coach, they brought in the Brisbane Lions over to there at Optus Stadium. They lost by 13 points. But if you said the West Coast would lose by 13 points to an on-fire Brisbane a week after sacking their coach, so good to see West Coast having a crack, but also the Brisbane Lions doing what they have to do. And now they're sitting in the top 4 going, how good is this? And they're another club that's had to bring in players as well too. With all the knee injuries that they had at the start of the year, 5 Ricos, they've had to bring in a few in there.
Peps.
Yeah.
Peps, I know you spoke about it. You spoke about it in your video.
Yep.
How did the Simo coin toss sit for you?
Weird.
It was weird, wasn't it?
Weird. I think what happened is that I think West Coast sacked him, had no plan in place, and then just rolled out a plan next to him. And he's just like, mate, you've just sacked me and you want me to coach? Like, you might want to ask me before, hey, listen, we're going to let you go. You want to play this last week? Like, that sort of stuff. Maybe a motorcade, maybe a walk around. I don't know. But it just seemed a bit...
I just can't recall a situation like that ever happening in the AFL.
No. Hey, you know, thanks for 2018. You've been crap for the last 18 months. Here's your severance pay. Oh, but also, do you want to toss the coin for us?
And then say goodbye to us again?
Again after we got rid of you? Well, I don't mind it because he was saying goodbye to the supporters, who were probably the same people that wanted to get rid of him, but he did win a flag. So if Ken did it, I'd be a little bit...
Don't let the good Lord hit you where he split you, as they say.
Exactly right. So it's a great weekend, a great weekend of footy. We've only got 6 games to go, which is just mind-boggling how quick this weekend, this season's going. But normally it's all wrapped up by now. But no. Big Dog.
Yes.
We always speak about umpiring. We know it's umpiring. I'm not going to bring up anything like holding the balls and all that.
No, but I hope you want to bring up something because I want to bring up something.
Well, it's probably the same thing that you're going to bring up. So I'll bring up what I'm going to bring up. And then if it's the same thing that you want to bring up, then we'll give the double thumbs up. Right.
Double thumbs up.
We are completely at a loss here with the AFL. And have they got any idea what they're doing to the game with these tackles and what they're suspending players for? But then there's other situations where players are doing things that should be getting suspended and they're getting just basically a slap on the wrist. Is that in the ballpark that after the 3 that got rubbed out this weekend for what they did, and then the guy that got the week was probably the worst out of the lot?
It's an interesting observation because I'm not going to bash the umpires, but I am confused because I saw I saw multiple examples of a tackle that I thought was outlawed 5 years ago is now back in.
Do you mean the chicken wing?
The one-arm pin chicken wing tackle.
It's because you can't tackle him around the waist because if you bring him to ground, you're going to get rubbed out.
I don't know.
I don't know. Does anybody know? Does anybody? I could phone a friend. I could do a 50-50. I could just give me another question. I've got no idea with the umpiring. And we've gone on for it so long. But I want to take it one step further because there were 3 guys that got rubbed out this weekend, right? I don't know if you've seen this since, it's come out. But so Alex Davies got 3 weeks. Now, you would have seen this because it was part of your game where Lockie Jones got cleaned up. I don't have an issue with that. He did go down low. He did cop him high. The only issue that I'm finding, though, with that is that I'm finding players are going in with their head first instead of turning to the side. So they're not actually protecting themselves, and it's almost like they're trying to draw free kicks. I'm not saying it was in that case, but I'll look at that one. That's 3 weeks. Okay. You then get Malcolm Roses runs straight past Logan Evans and gives him a Bosage to the back of the headage and gets a week. So one guy's going at the ball, collects his head, gets 3. The other guy literally rolls an elbow over, cops the player in the back of the head, gets 1.
Yep.
So at the moment, I'm like, if I was Malcolm Roses, I'd be like, shit. Thank fuck I got off that one. Right. Then Toby Bedford. This is where I start getting the twitches because I don't know what's going on. He gets 3 weeks for rough conduct for a tackle where if you look at it, he's holding him and he's not even doing motions because his legs are dragging behind him. Yep. He reminded me of when the cops picked up Eddie Murphy in Trading Places right at the start of the film when his legs weren't working. That's what it reminded me of. So it was almost the perfect tackle. And because Taranto's gone down and hit his head, he's copped 3 weeks for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you just think it can't get any better than this, Jamie, Charlie Cameron gets 3 weeks for tackling a guy and dumping him backwards. So out of the 2, I can't believe Bedford got 3. And I still can't believe Charlie got 3, even though probably Charlie's in the way that someone could protect themselves was worse because you can't protect yourself going backwards. At least you can put your hands forward going forwards. But he still got 3. Well, I think when I saw those 3 come through, I'm like, how? How does that happen?
Is it the severity of how many weeks they are, Peps? Huh? Is it how many weeks they are that's blowing your brain, or is it the fact they even got cited?
The Bedford one, that's not 3 weeks.
No.
That's not 3 weeks.
How much is it?
That's nothing. That's a perfect tackle. That is a perfect tackle. That is one of those ones where he couldn't do anything more. He didn't do a double action because he was actually holding onto the player and dragging him down. It was just the motion of the ocean that caused that one. And and the Charlie Cameron one, maybe. I didn't like the backward action. Probably there was something maybe in that, but that's worth 3. Where a guy who throws an elbow gets 1.
Mm-hmm.
It just does not make him. Yeah.
Can I just say that I probably am now, and I know 5 weeks ago we had this argument.
Yeah.
I'm probably now back on the side of you and the Brownlow.
Yeah.
And needing to address the best and fairest element. If this is where guys are getting weeks from tackles, I think we need to have that threshold talk again.
But I'd
come with you anyway.
And this is where it's like it's not, when we had that conversation, I was, rapt that you had your stance on it. I just thought players are now getting suspended for actions that were legal a year ago. And they weren't, and they're not malicious. That's the thing. Like even the Heaney one last week, that wasn't malicious. He was just trying to break the tackle. Last year, that would have got a fine. Yet, how does the guy in the Port Adelaide game swing an arm back? I think it was Zerk Thatcher. I can't remember last week. Norton goes off with concussion, and that doesn't come up with, that wasn't even cited. So that's where it's just confusion. And then when the commentators have no idea, and they're balls deep in what they do compared to what we do, and they've got no idea, when the players have got no idea, how are you supposed to even try and analyze what you can and cannot do on the field?
Yeah.
And I blame the AFL. There's no one to blame but the AFL because they have tried to make everything safe, and it's not a safe sport. Things are going to happen. It's like when you drive a car. You could put in 400 airbags. You could have seatbelts, ABS, collision detection. You're still going to have accidents. And people, unfortunately, are still going to get injured and people are still going to die. It's going to happen. You cannot outlaw it. But there are ones that are deliberate incidents. They're the ones you go for. There's ones that you just go, well, what could he do? That's the ones that I don't get. And I also don't think that they should be playing things in slow-mo as well, because it just amplifies what happens as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, maybe we have to just go back to a couple of ribbons hanging out the back of the shorts. Pull the ribbon. That's holding the ball. I don't know.
Can we play with a round ball and just call it international rules, Jamie?
But I'm with you, Peps, because I don't know the solution when the game is about contact and we want the physicality, and yet when we bring the physicality, you get robbed out for it.
Mr. Simpson, I know. And I'm reading some of the comments coming through at the moment, and it's just like, have we talked about the AFL? The AFL is becoming a joke. The AFL is still not a joke. It's a great sport. It's just that there's too much legislation coming into it now, and they're protecting themselves not for the now, but for 10 years down the track. That's what it's all about. They're trying to say, well, at least we brought this in. At least we brought this in. At least we brought this in. And then you watch tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the State of Origin is going to be on. And that is literally cross-country boxing compared to what we do. And we sit there and go, and they give a headshot. It's all right. Did you know what I mean? Like, we've almost gone too far. The needle's gone too far the other way. It needs to be brought back a little bit. I don't want to talk about it because we talk about it most weeks. But just for what happened on the weekend with those 3 results, it was like something had to be said. Okay.
Can I have my umpire thing, Peps?
I'd love to hear it.
You might not have seen this, Peps, but on the weekend it was the championship game between Vic Country, Vic Metro, under 18s competition. Vic Country were absolutely robbed right in front of me. The game was an intense game for under 18s football. It was down to the last 90 seconds of the game. Vic Country kicked a goal to put them 5 points up. You thought that they had sealed it. But with 20 seconds to go, Vic Metro took a mark just outside the 50, or a free kick outside the 50. And then because the player encroached on a protected area, which had no impact.
It was for dissent.
Oh, dissent, sorry.
It was dissent. Yes, because we were all having this conversation and it was for dissent. We found out later.
I thought it was encroaching on the mark. But anyway, after the siren, kick to win the championship. Vic Metro, well done. Winners of the championship. Good job.
Emotional, damn it.
But we all know Vic Country should have won that.
My mum was working at Marvel that day and she watched the game and she reckons it was like she was watching the game. Going, this is grouse. And then to see what happens and the way it happened. Now that you brought it up, I must laugh. If you listen to the radio about all the Collingwood supporters talking about, that wasn't 50 metres when we ran over the mark against North Melbourne. But then last week, all the free kicks that we should have got against Geelong where they ran over the mark. It's not fair.
Yep.
And then I see Cozzy Pickett copping one for taking 2 steps. Like, wasn't even given a warning. Hey, take a step back. Like, there's just no feeling for the game anymore. It's just like, are you serious? Like, I just stood there. Come back 50.
I do agree. I do agree with the feel for game. I think that's a really important aspect the umpires must have. I know you've got your rules, but there's also you got to have a feel for the game. Like, is that player impacting on X? Is this dissent is a grey line that whether you're comfortable with someone saying something to you or not is down to your personal opinion.
I know. They should be able to go, look, dude. It should almost be, hey, keep that up and I'll pay dissent. Like,
I agree. A warning first.
Give a warning. All right. And give a bit of banter back. I think, we've spoken about this over the years. The best relationships that we have playing footy, and when you're in your sporting landscape as well.
The officials,
You get on with the officials, they give you a bit, you give them a bit back, you have a bit of a laugh at the end of the day. That's the way it should be. It should not be an us versus you. It should be a we, not a me. And I feel like it's a little bit like that as well too. But yeah, that just caught up as well too. What else caught your eye on the weekend, Jdog? I'll throw it over to you because I know that you had a couple of things that you wanted to bring up as well.
Yeah, Peps. I think what caught my eye is the fact that you are like, like you locking in the top 8, trying to every week. You had a massive crack at Yamara Uhagen.
Yep.
You said he needs to basically step up, man up,
Yep.
become the player he is. He's
Yep.
he's underperforming.
Yep.
He's all these things.
Yep.
And then he sort of does what he does and kicks 4
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
Has a great game.
didn't you, Jamie? Had a breakout game.
He had a game, Peps, which was coming because it's just the way that you work in the world. You have a spray and then they have a great game.
Well, can I continue that? I'm
Sure.
glad that you brought this up because I am sick to death of hearing that Jamara Ugle-Hagan has had a breakout game again. And it made me think over the years because this guy apparently is number 1 draft pick. He's the greatest thing since Wayne Carey. He could be anything he wants. He's got so much talent in his body. But you know what? From what I've seen, I don't see it all.
Oh,
I don't see it all. I think he gets away. So I think he gets away. If I compare him to another player in the same draft, and we look at their records over their careers, one has been ravaged for pillar to post, and the other one's had smoke blown up his ass for
ravaged.
Yeah.
Ravaged.
Yeah, especially in the last couple of weeks. Rightio. This is what brought, because when you said they had a breakout game, it was in the radio today. It was all over the newspapers. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, breakout game. And I went, no, how many breakout games can you have? Proof in the pudding here. In 2022, he had 5 goals against the Ds. I think it might have been round 18, a very similar time frame, around 16. That was apparently his breakout game. And I remember it very well because that was for us to lock in a top 4 spot, and they came out of the blue and just completely smashed us. He had an absolute blinder. That was his breakout game. And then just does his little bits. Doesn't continue the streak until 2023, where he kicked 4 goals in a game against the Fremantle Dockers. Another breakout game for Jamara. He's here. He's arrived. The future's here. They're going to be awesome. Look, go watch out for the doggies, etc. And then doesn't really do it again until the weekend where he kicks 4 goals against the Blues. Just give me a break with this bloke because he doesn't do it consistently enough. Oh, and if you want to go one step further, and then I can see all the Bulldog supporters going, oh, but he's got Norton down there. Oh, he's got to share it with him. Oh, he's only young. Oh, he's still finding his feet. Okay. Fair point. So if you're going to say that, let's pull up another player in the exact same draft. I will not mention this person's name, but I'm going to go through a few stats, where they were drafted, how many games they've played, goals they've kicked, and a couple other career-based statistics. I'm not just going to go averages. Averages can be blown out. But I want to go career statistics, all right? And then when I mention his name, sit back and go, oh, didn't know that. Rightio. Jamara, round 1, pick 1, 2020 national draft. This bloke, pick 4, 2020 national draft. Jamara, 60 games. The other bloke, 61. Okay. Goals, Jamara, 89. This other guy, 84.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From a tackles perspective, behinds, 77 to 56 in Jamara's way. So more shots on goal. Okay. Hit-outs, don't worry about that. Tackles, Jamara, 63. The other bloke, 83 tackles. Inside 50s, Jamara's had 124. The other bloke's had 99. So the only thing I'm thinking there is that Jamara's got up the ground a little bit. I know he's played in the ruck a little bit at times. That can help him out. The other bloke stayed pretty much in that forward 50 for that amount of time as well. Goal assist, which is apparently one of the big things that, everybody, if you can get goal assists, you can be a star. All right. Jamara, 23 in his career. This other bloke, 37. All right. Frees 4, 45 to 36, Jamara's way. Frees against. So who's giving away more? 40 to 21, Jamara's way. Contested possessions. This is a bit of a difference. 278 to 236. Which is, once again, I'm thinking maybe due to those midfield minutes, That might have racked it up, especially early, but these times it's different. Let's go from the disposal efficiency. 56 Jamara, 70 to this other player. Clangers, 152. Jamara, 83 to the other one. So he's not making as many more mistakes. His disposal efficiency is a hell of a lot better. Marks inside 50, 142 to 98. So he blows him off the water when it comes to marks inside 50. I'll give him that. All right. 1%ers, 53 to 72. Meters gained. Even meters gained, 4768 to Jamara, 4699 to this other bloke. Center clearances, 0 to 1. Oh, that's a big one. Score involvements, 305 to 296. Turnovers, 161 to 105 in favor of Jamara. Intercepts, 30 to 48 in favor of the other bloke. 27 tackles inside 50. 27 to Jamara, 38 to the other bloke. Have you got an idea who this other bloke is? With statistics like that, you would almost go, geez, his career's actually been not as... That's actually a very good comparison. In some areas, doing very, very well.
I got a feeling
I
Peps
reckon you've got an idea
he plays for a non-Victorian club.
He plays for a non-Victorian club.
He does up in and that team is currently tracking at number 1.
That team is tracking at number 1, and that guy's name is Logan McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, Jamari Ugle-Hagan is the second coming, and Logan McDonald is known as the guy who's missed 2 shots after the siren in 2 weeks. Literally. Yes, he's had Norton to deal with. Logan McDonald had to deal with a bloke named Buddy Franklin for his entire career. And you're not getting him out of the forward 50, and he's not going to be the central target. So it just annoys me when there's so much focus on this guy, when there's another bloke in the same draft performing just as well, and in some cases better, and I feel is not put in the same level as him.
I guess for me, it's always the first pick is always a tough one. They always get lots of focus on it, no matter what they do, wherever they are. With Ugle-Hagan, I seriously don't know what his natural or strong position is, because he has been moved around. As you said there, Peps, you've highlighted it perfectly. He's played up the field, he's played ruck, he's played forward, he's played pocket. Where is it? Should he be a half forward? Should he be given the freedom to roll up the ground more and roll back when he has to? Or should he just be 35, 40 from goal and just you stay there?
Well, I'll tell you now, I think he's going to have the better career out of the two.
Yeah, you think Logan could?
I think Logan's going to have the better career out of the two. For the simple fact that John Longmire has the balls to go, you know what? You're not performing. You're going back down to the VFL and you are going to hone your craft and get better. I can't see Beveridge dropping Jamari Ugle-Hagan when he's going through such a lean patch, because then he becomes a liability. And I can see that they will not do that. And that'll, that resilience factor that McDonald's had will keep him in good stead moving forward.
Yeah, maybe. I want to see. I don't want to see what Longmire would do if Logan McDonald was the number 1 pick. It brings with it, Peps, as you know, we know this. It brings with it a whole lot of extra attention on that player.
It does, but it's only a number. I know it's only a number, but he should be like for the amount of smoke that gets blown his way, you'd think he's the number 1 forward in the league. And he's not.
Has he signed up for them? Was he not committed yet to Western Bulldogs for next year? He was gettable.
I'll have a look at a moment.
He was gettable. But I thought, I don't know if, I can't remember if he had signed on for another 3 or if a club had managed, or if he had, what's the classic here, Peps?
2-year contract extension up until the end of 2026.
Okay. Yeah. That's always classic.
4 years in Sydney. So both of them are not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just find that when I look at the two, one's no frills and the other one is, hey, he can play. Let's be honest. We've spoken about this before. He can play. But the raw numbers show that he isn't the massive blow away, tear away that the commentators and the football public think he is.
I like when you do a bit of money ball, Peps.
Oh, it's not Moneyball. I was just having a bit of a think about it over the weekend because when I saw today that he had another breakout, I've gone, come on, man. He's had 3 breakout games. You can only have 1 breakout game. That's why it's called a breakout. You only break out once.
Well,
That's
I
called a breakout.
I do like your little money ball.
It's just fascinating to do it. My breakout game, I can tell you, my breakout game was in 1996 versus Hadfield at East Keilor. That was my breakout game on the wing. That was when I knew I could play senior footy. That's when I knew I was capable.
I wasn't even born then.
That's
No, I was. I'm joking.
it wouldn't have been much. How old were you? How old were you in 1996?
96, I was in grade 6.
Oh,
12.
You would have been in the
Probably seniors in country football.
You would have been wearing sweat hogs. You would have had the sweat hogs, maybe the snap pants.
Were they 96? No, I think they were like a 98, weren't they?
Oh, it just doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. The sweat hogs, mate. Everyone had the sweat hogs. They should come back. I'd love to hear what other people think. Am I right? Am I wrong? Probably going to get wrong, but I'd love to hear what people think about the hype around Jamara compared to his statistical breakdown against Logan McDonald. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Lace out. That's how you watch your footy.
Peps.
Yep.
I just want a short little bit. It's going to take us 2 minutes to talk about this, and that's it, I promise. And then we're going to go into the wrap up of the games, then we're going to go and talk whatever. Are you enjoying AFL football this year?
Yes.
I
am.
What is it about it this year that you've liked?
I think ever since they made the change to the holding the ball, I've enjoyed it more because it was so obvious where people were trying to break tackles, they were getting held, they were just going to ground, holding it in, causing stoppage after stoppage after stoppage. That has opened up the game a little bit more. I will also say, though, there are certain elements which I think that they've gone so hard in some have forgotten the others. So as an example, I do not know where in the back has gone.
Yeah, good call.
When you're lying on the ground and someone jumps into your back to hold the ball in, that's in the back. But for whatever reason, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And the other one is hands in the back. How many times have you seen these ones? Like actual pushes, and they're not given. And I was having a chat to my nephew about this on the weekend while we're at the Essendon game, because there was a situation where that occurred. As it's in the back. I was like, but it's in the back. He goes, no. He used his hands to brace himself. He goes, it's in the back. He goes, but it's not because he didn't push. I said, there's your problem right there. I say one thing, you say the other. Technically, we're both right, but we're both wrong. Because the rules are not clear. So if they just simply went back down to the forearm in the back, that's clear. You can do that. Hands in the back, it's a free kick. Because you're leaving that up to the interpretation of the umpire. So those sort of things, I don't mind. The football seems to be a bit more quicker, faster, which has been good. It's been a closer season. I've really liked the development of some of the clubs as well, too. I really like what North have done over the last probably 6 weeks. Just see that McKercher, Wardlow, Cheezel, Larky, Zerha looks like he's staying as well too. So they're going to get a really nice core down there. I love what Dimmer's doing with the Suns. Yeah, they're still inconsistent away. But Jdog, they're still in a chance to play finals. We're halfway through July. We've never got this far to say that they could be. And look what they did to your mob on the weekend. Like that, they're playing good footy.
Absolutely.
And so I think that the gap between the really bad and the middle of the pack is still there. But even those 5 teams, there's not much of a difference between those 5. And then the rest of the ladder could work itself out, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. I think this year, I mean, I hate the length of the season, to be honest. I hate 24 rounds. I think it's ridiculous.
I agree.
But you're right. Like it makes it hard for people to declare the ladder done by round 16 because we've seen, like, you can lose a game and yet go up 2 spots in the ladder because the teams above you lost.
Yep.
And the games have never felt closer.
I love it. I absolutely loving footy right now. I think the on-field stuff is really good. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that's being done at the four walls of AFL House. I think that's where I'm really concerned that they're not in touch with the real person, like the common person in touch with the game, etc. And then, there's just been circumstances with, people coming out like Dylan coming out and saying that the umpiring is in the best, the best it's been in a long time. And you're like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And then, and then you get...
You and I are not online. I reckon the umpiring in any season of any year we've ever spoken about, you've always said it's a shittest year of umpiring.
Yeah.
You've always said that.
We've always said that. I think it's got worse. I think the four umpires make it worse. But then when the person from the AFL comes out and says, you know what, it's actually in the best position it's been in for a long time, you're like, dude, like we went through Demetriou, we went through McLaughlin. I thought this guy had his head screwed on. And then he says that. So, yep. Hey, Rocco Tomasi, welcome very much, young man, for joining us. He's saying Port Adelaide should go back to the Sandful. What do you reckon, Jdog? Sure, mob.
Yeah, sure. Why not? But then we wouldn't have the most winning football club in the nation playing for the...
I know. Bo Hawkins just asked, sorry, how many weeks would an AFL player get for saying powder puff? I don't know. Maybe a fine?
Well,
10, 15 grand.
AFL players probably use powder rooms every weekend.
I reckon they've got no issues with using the powder, from what we've heard.
Allegedly.
Don't hold us to it. No, but a copyright strike coming our way, I reckon. Rightio. Hey, Jdog, this week's round of games, like I don't think, we were talking about how good the season's been. You have a look at the caliber of games that are coming up every week now. Like, that's the stuff that gets you excited when you just see, like, who's rocking up this week. Right. Let's have a look at some of the games. We've got Friday night, Adelaide versus Essendon. Now, it is at Marvel Stadium, and I'll be going through my tips every single week here. Tipped out, because I tell you what your tips. Essendon have to win. They probably will, because it's Adelaide. Let's be honest, right? Then, just have a look at some of these games. Then you've got the Startup Cup, GWS versus Gold Coast at Giant Stadium. Could you imagine if Gold Coast got their first win on the road against GWS? By the way, GWS, they've got the best social media going around.
They're always good, aren't they? They're always good. The banners are good.
How good was the piss take of Isaac Heaney by GWS?
I don't know. They get so pissy about this sort of stuff.
Oh, suck it up, mate. Jeez, they take them. They're in business together, Toby Green and Isaac Heaney. They've got a business together, so they were just taking it. I love it. It's just not enough of it. St Kilda versus West Coast.
But back on the Suns one.
Yep.
The Suns win that. They drag themselves to 10 wins for the season. They are right in the box seat for
they're
final.
Ball deep in this one. I'm telling you, if they get in. Then you've got St Kilda versus West Coast. Imagine if West Coast turn up and do what they did last week against St Kilda. The knives will be out for the phone cracker himself, Ross. Then you've got Hawthorn Collingwood at the MCG 4:35. Like, that is the perfect sit yourself down in front of the TV with a nice hot cocoa and a couple of Jimmy cans. Maybe a red if you're into that. And drink responsibly. Imagine Hawthorn win that. They keep their chances of playing finals alive and not Collingwood out at the same time. Oh, champagne showers. Geelong Western Bulldogs. If the Western Bulldogs are the real deal, they have to beat Geelong at GMHBA Stadium. You got Port versus Richmond. Could Richmond beat you over there this week?
Comfortably.
I love it. Brisbane Lions, Sydney. I'm going to be out of tissues by it. I've still got 3 rounds to go. I've still got 3 games to go. I'll be out of tissues in a minute. Like, Sunday afternoon, perfect weather conditions. Brisbane, Sydney. Oh, I'd only be going with Brisbane because it's in Brisbane. That's it. Fremantle versus Melbourne. crikey, if Melbourne turn up like they did last week, and apparently it might be a little bit rainy, and we know that the condition of that ground isn't too flash, the more rainy it is, the better it is for us. Could we go over and stun them? If they do, here we go. And Carlton versus North Melbourne. Like, if I said to you that it is a danger game for Carlton against North, potentially, because I'm telling you now, the only issue I got is that they got no backman to stop their forwards. But Carlton's forwards are absolutely poo at the moment as well, too. So I'm saying danger game, but I think that they'll win it convincingly. That makes sense.
If you look at this game here, right? So you've got the Bulldogs, Gold Coast, Collingwood, and Hawthorn.
Yep.
Who could all? Let's have a look here quickly. All but the Collingwood Hawthorn game, you could potentially look at if Melbourne lose that and Port Adelaide lose. You're looking at another 3 teams adding up until the 10-win bracket.
I'm telling you now, there's 6 games this weekend that are 8-point games.
It's huge.
And even Essendon and Adelaide. Like, I didn't put that one in there. But imagine if Adelaide beat Essendon again. Like, they'll be just like, deja vu. I won't forget you. It's just, you asked me why I'm loving footy. It is just, Rocco Tomasi, have a look at this. Rocco, he's getting RSI. He's going nuts. The road to 8th runs through Carrara. Well, I'll tell you what, if the Suns keep winning, that's all they've got to keep doing. They only have to win. They only have to win maybe 2 games on the road for the rest of the season, and they make finals because they don't lose at home.
And they are a different team up there. They're a different team.
I'm just loving it. I'm just loving everything about it. I'm loving everybody who joins in every week. I love working with you every single week. I just love.
5 weeks ago, I wouldn't have said Collingwood are going to drop down to 12th.
I did.
You did call it. You did call that one.
I called that early in the season that Collingwood, I think, weren't going to do too flash.
But just a few injuries.
I also said that Brisbane were coming backwards and they've just stuffed me.
And you also ripped Geelong as well.
Yep, I did too. Isn't it funny, though, when we have a look at who we picked at the halfway mark who's not going to make finals? Some of those teams that we said that should be packing for Vegas need to maybe put the clothes back in the drawer. And a couple of teams that we said that are packing for September might just want to maybe get their passports up to date.
Might just need to
hurry.
Might just need to put tentative on the old Outlook email responses because they might be
tentative. Out of office, please contact my boss. Exactly right. How much the AFL paying you to say that? Say what, Bo? What did we just say?
Oh, the game being close is probably the game being in a good position.
I think the game is in a good position from a football perspective, from a results perspective, yes. But there are elements within the game. We've spoken about them so many weeks over the last 7 years. Starts with U, ends in umpiring. Is one that starts with R, ends in ools.
Like we just went through the thing there. Like down to 13th. It's still live.
It's just live. It's live. It's live.
So
what the finals are going to be like. I can't wait. All right. Hey, that has been what a belter of a show. Can't believe we got through so much in an hour. Like it's just, I love it. Great weekend of footy. Look, we hope your team wins this week. If you haven't done so, because I know there's a few newies on here. I'm saying, Anthony Shaw saying that. I'm saying Bevo doesn't have any balls. I'm saying that if push came to shove, I don't think he would drop Jamara. That's what I'm saying, Anthony. I don't think he would. I would not mess with Bevo at all, especially when he has that handlebar mustache. You saw what happened to Tommy Morris. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying that I think John Longmire would drop McDonald in a heartbeat if he wasn't performing. I don't think they would do the same, even with Darcy, even with Lobb, even with Norton, even with Cody Waitman running around. I still don't think he'd pull the trigger. That's what I'm thinking. Long live Tommy Roker. What's going on there, Rocco? You might have to give us some info. We've missed Tommy over the last few weeks. We haven't seen him. So if you can give us some info, we'd love to hear that. But, Jdog, anything that you want to wrap up with before we head off and put the kids to bed?
No, not at all. I've actually, sorry, I was late a bit today. I was a little bit late, and then we had some Facebook issues. Peps, we had some technical issues in the background.
Just call us the AFL.
We are.
Yeah, we got there eventually. Best podcast. Hey, we are the number one non-club affiliated podcast this side of the Westgate Bridge. We're Lace Out. I'm Peps. That's Jdog. And that is our round 18 review. It is a massive round of footy coming up. Round 19 in the 2024 AFL season. It's Lace Out. It's how you like your footy. That's how we like you tuning in every single week. Jdog, anything that you want to say to the listeners before we wrap this one up?
No, thank you and love you all. Bye-bye.
Love you all. Take care. So hi to your mum for me. See you,
Love you.
listeners. Geez, why are you so beautiful? At the end of